to the greatest poker podcast in India. Right now, I have three legends who have conquered the Indian poker scene in one single night. Please welcome Sreekant, aka Lagana Hi To Hai, the fortunate soul who secured the runner-up spot in the legendary GOAT tournament. Arun Shiram, aka Real Rooney, my dear friend who bagged a staggering 1 crore in a single night. And last but not the least, Heather, aka Call Me Babe, who came just shy of 69 lakhs in one epic night. Combined, these three have raked in a massive 3.18 crore in one night alone, with their overall winning amounting to a jaw-dropping 25 crores. Well, let's kick off with Shri. Shri bagging 1.5 crore in one single night without even being in a stable at that time. How did it feel? Who did you tell first? And what was the first thing you did after winning such a massive amount? सब बताओ कि वो रात कैसी थी और मतलब कैसे गई.
Yeah, I couldn't sleep only, bro. I haven't slept for like obviously, right? Like you grind 4 years, hoping that one day you will hit a big score like this. You just have to be patient, and, show up daily and keep grinding so that, you get one good year or you get like 2 good years and counter all those variances. So it's a surreal experience and yeah, I mean, I couldn't sleep, and I think I called up Rooney. Like woke up in the morning, I saw Rooney's call at 9 o'clock, and then so yeah, I think I called him back after that. So yeah, it was a very surreal experience.
Well, मतलब उसके बाद क्या हुआ था मतलब did you just like go to bed after winning और उसी time अरुण को call
No,
किया
no,
था?
no, no, I didn't. I tried to go to bed after that, but I was just pretty much up the whole night, and then like my parents woke up and I told them that I have won this and all, and they were like pretty happy. And then it took me some time. I mean, like I probably just didn't sleep the whole day. I probably slept the next day. And yeah, I mean, so
So how did the conversation go? Like you went to your parents and what did you tell them?
yeah, so I tell my scores to them. So it's not
This is different.
yeah, I mean like
This is a different score at like.
yeah. And they're like I was like I mean like yeah, I told them that I've hit the score and they were like really happy and uh, they were like, I mean, like it's just every time I tell them my scores, like the amount doesn't make that much of a difference. They're just happy that I'm doing well in poker. At least I mean, I'm happy they like at least supporting me and all that. Because it's not a common thing in our country. So to have parents and people around you who support you in this endeavor is just really blissful.
Well, did it feel like कि जैसे अभी stable में भी नहीं थे उस time पे? Did it feel like oh it's much sweeter because you don't have to share your profits with somebody?
Yeah, I mean. Yeah, I was getting around to the hang of that because the first year after leaving stable was not great for me. I was like massively down the year I left the stable. So yeah, I mean like it was a good feeling. I mean like I stable के साथ share करना ना share करना. I mean like that kind of a thing kind of goes away. I mean like immediate like when you leave the stable and you win something immediately, like first couple of months you will have that feeling, but eventually it just it becomes like a routine and you don't get that kind of a mindset into you.
Okay. Or final table, like it was. Did you treated it as like a normal final table? Because see, ICM was huge. Top three were like deeply paid.
Mm.
So did you treat it as a like a what do you call it? Like a same tournament, same FT that you'll play like every other day? और उसको थोड़ा सा different way में देखा था कि हाँ यहाँ पे spot नहीं लेना because this is like a massive tournament. Up top is quite high. I can play a bit tight and get to that position. Or because when we play in a poker tournament like all four of us we take spots, right? हम
Mm-hmm.
three bet bite कर रहे हैं like suited aces के साथ and all that stuff. So did you like treat it as a normal some FT or did you just made adjustments? अगर कुछ adjustment बनाए थे if you can share some.
So, so adjustments definitely had to be made here. I mean, not really because of the staggering pay jumps and all that, because the field overall was very different than, like the usual reggae FTs that we play. We are talking about how many people played? I think around 25,000 people would have played, right? I mean, yeah, I think so, yeah. So something around that. So I mean, like it was a recreational heavy field, so those adjustments were definitely made because, people don't care or people don't know much about ICM factors. So you have to deviate there from what your normal GTO says and all that. So, but apart from that, yeah, I mean, maybe in the heads up is probably one place where I considered the staggering pay jumps, and it was like 2 crore up top and 1 crore for the second. So, and we were like equal stacks. So it kind of made sense to deal there because it's a huge jump, and even though I wasn't aware much of the guy who was playing against me. Did not seem that much reggy at that point. So yeah, I mean, probably that's one place where I consider, okay, maybe this is pretty huge, so we could just deal it and end it right here.
Okay, fair enough. Well, the next question is for all of us, all of you, all of three of you. It seems like all three of you have reduced your volume lately. I'm not sure if that's true, but that is what something that I've observed and found out. Uh, if that's true, why is that? Like, because like three of you have like really big scores, and what normally happens is that people start playing more, the hunger strikes more, and But it seems like you have diverted your focus somewhere else in different projects. Is it because of Do you see like poker declining in India, or what is the reason? Let's start with Arun, if he can shed some light on it.
I personally, I don't think poker has reduced. Playing has reduced for me. I'm still active with what I want to do with poker, but I just don't have the time to put in the grind 5 days or 6 days a week right now. There's a variety of things happening with me, and so I just maintain my discipline of a Sunday grind.
Okay.
But other than that, life's gotten a little busy, and this is coincidentally, you're also caught three people who are actively working in crypto together. So we guys have gotten a little active on that side of the fence. Uh, and recently, there have been some personal developments in my life, which has all made it all difficult to spend everyday grind time. But I think that's going to change in another month or two. I'll be back to active grinding. So I might go back to my standard only poker routine very soon. Okay. But as of now, it's just a variety of things happening around life. Little to do with any other factor. Because I think personally, in spite of the, let's say, the GST change, which is like caught the industry off guard, the sites have done a very good job. I think the amount of effort that, let's say, I've seen sites put across to ensure that players get the necessary confidence in the game. And I'm working a little bit behind the scenes with Adda also, right? They're actively trying to ensure that the players don't feel the pinch of this. And that part has made sure that the game has not really changed from a player standpoint at this juncture. Okay. And to me, it's just a function of what's going on in my life. It has very little to do with anything else. And another 2 months, you'll see me 24/7 thinking, living, grinding before. So it's just back to normal.
I mean, it's very important that you mention Adda because Adda is the only platform that is organizing live tournaments right now in India, and it is very hard after the 28% GST coming in to attract people to make sure that the overheads are justified for the players and for Adda's team who's doing it. So and the DPT is coming very soon, so very excited for that. What about you, Heather? What is keeping you busy? We know Arun's live a little bit because he is like I talk to him maybe once a month or so. But it's very hard that I get to talk to you. So what is happening in life? Your volume is also low, and that is coming from
Uh,
me. It's like a big.
Oops, gotta hide. Yeah. Yeah. So no, for me, my volume is zero. Not even low. My volume zero. I just was swooping into play some of just the very big ones and all because uh actually towards the end, exactly when the GST regime was kicking in,
Mhm.
I was just actually struggling a lot with my health. Even towards the fag end, even though I was doing quite well, I had few really good months.
My health was taking a rapid decline, and particularly my back issue, for which I'm even wearing a posture corrector amongst many things just to, get by with life. So it's taking a lot of. It had actually deteriorated quite a lot, and I knew that I had to spend some time away because obviously, right, the first few pitfalls with playing poker were, the erratic sleep cycle. Uh, that sleep that was biggest, and sitting for long hours and stuff. Although we did get breaks, I can't say that you don't have the time to rehabilitate yourself. We do. So I can't blame poker entirely, but at least for me at that moment, I was not able to handle my health very well. And I recognized that at this pace, no fruit of poker was going to be able to substitute uh, declining health. And I had to take that into focus. And subsequently, somehow, ironically, GST also kicked in. So I really thought that I should take the time to step back, really focus on my health. And the other thing is that when I'm usually playing poker, it's such an engrossing world. Like I feel like I'm always thinking, breathing, eating, sleeping, playing poker. You're studying, you're playing. And I didn't really have the time for much else, to spend time with my family, with my partner, to build other skills, you know. And I just really thought that while I want to primarily focus on my health, it's also a good time to pivot and work up some different skills also. Because say if I return to poker again, which I really want to. I want to come as a more well-rounded person, not just poker. I think I want to have multiple financial avenues in my arsenal as a person going forward. So I took the time to, really move out because I figured that while playing poker, I can't do all of this. Like, it's not it. People can do it. I can't do it. I recognize it for myself. And I think I'm spending some time away from it, so I'm very happy that I at least had a really good few months, and that allowed me to take a break and really, focus on myself and come back much stronger, much more focused, much more happier, healthier. So yeah, that's why I'm not playing much right now.
I think it's very important because what people see of poker, especially from like a very wide view, very outside view, is that what you can do is you can just sit on your computer at 8 p.m. or 8:30 p.m. or even like 10, and you can just click some buttons and make money, which doesn't happen. Like there
Not at
is
all.
hard hours spent in a lab to understand different strategies, what will work, what will not work. There are like mindset sessions, there are training sessions. A lot of people are doing like, drills. There is now AI in poker, which obviously speed up your learning pathway. So that is all happening, but it's not, I think it's the same thing with Arun, same thing with you, that basically there are things in life that is happening, and poker is not something that you can just sit in front of a computer and do it at 8 p.m. 9 p.m. if you're doing it full time. If you're doing like a recreationally for fun, that you can do, like, one day you want to just sit in front of the computer and play, that is possible. But if you want to do it full time, poker takes a lot of time, effort, money, etc., to keep on going and to keep, like, evolving and being better every day, right? Isn't it? Isn't that the case?
Yeah, pretty
For
much.
sure.
Yeah. What about you, Shrikant? Because I know Arun's busy in his personal life. Heather is busy in his like business that he's taking, like helping his family and doing other things. What about you? You have a job. You still have a job, right?
I do.
After winning 1.5 crores in one night, Shrikant is still working. Still, like, he's working and he plays in the night also. And he's also, I think, working on his game. Are you doing the what do you call?
CFP.
Coaching for profits, right?
Yeah. So that's what. So this year has been very hectic that way. That's why my volume is also dipped because, yeah, I mean, like obviously on the job front, there's a bit slight, I mean, like project changes and all, so bit hectic there. I mean, not very hectic, I would say, but yeah. And then like as Arun earlier mentioned, we all diversified a bit into crypto. So we did this APT Hanoi back in December, right, Arun?
Yeah.
December. So after that, we've been like, so kind of, it's pretty, it was pretty evident after that that, having some crypto, in and accumulating that just helps you do a lot of these live trips. And, as a live poker player, it's gonna just give you a huge edge in playing. I mean, like in terms of putting volume across, So, so that's one thing, and again, like the CFP that I've been doing, so that's also taking up some of my time. But I still do grind. It's not like I don't grind. So I maybe I skip the Mondays and Tuesdays and stuff like that. And I'm also focusing a bit on my personal health and stuff like that. Been grinding non-stop for the last 2 years, so that has taken a hit. So, when you have to manage like four, five things and you still have to put in that effort to grind, it's not that easy. But yeah, I'm thinking like down the line, I mean, the rest of the year I'm gonna be pretty active in terms.
So as we know that this this podcast is about getting some juicy tadkedar information out of all three. This is not a normal some interview, some podcast about just poker. My main focus is basically like it is poker, but then poker and beyond. So let's clear out poker first. And really want you three to be honest about the next question that I'm gonna ask from all three of you. यार ये बताओ कि what is the reality of poker? There is we see a lot of things in in this internet, in this social media world, on Facebook, on Instagram, where there are huge scores, and like you guys have been a part of an industry where you've seen the big players going broke, someone starting from very bottom to really up, huge MUs, huge wins, सब कुछ almost एक spectrum तो cover हो गया है, right? मतलब खुद नहीं करा तो देख लिया या सुन लिया. So according to you, what is the actual reality of poker? We will start with Arun to take that question, and then we'll go from Shri and then Heather, right?
Okay. So, in a way, when you said, right, it's a spectrum. It's got the absolute euphoric highs to downright lows. Everything is covered in poker. Uh, but keeping aside the, let's say, the glitz and the glamour that you see outside, it is genuinely like any other sport.
Mm-hmm.
It's got a bunch of people.
Yeah.
Their competitive spirit gets ignited when they go into this. It's a game of mind edges. And so, the little bit of edge that you gain ends up compounding in terms of great returns over a longer period of time. And that little bit of edge that we're talking about is in a variety of things, especially in poker. Is if you see a lot of the good poker players talk about continuous improvement, they talk about their managing their life, their mindset, their health, and so on and so forth. Right. So, poker, like any other sport, is a daily practice grind. The outcomes of winning that one big event or a few big events across the year happens as an outcome of that everyday practice. Okay, and the guys who are the best at this practice ends up being the best in the country for a longer period of time. Like I think a lot of people see some of the scores that we've got, or let's take Sreekant's example. He had the most profitable year last year amongst all players in the country, right? That's a function of all the practice that he's done for years. I'm a relatively new player in the poker circuit, right? When I had just started my poker journey 2.5 years back, Shrikant was a coach and he was out there training people to make better decisions, right? And he's been grinding from then on, training himself and practicing people to a place where he eventually won that score. So the tip of the iceberg is not evident of what exactly happens behind the scenes. So with poker today, it's not much different from pre-GST, post-GST. It's the same principles that apply. Sites are covering up the GST at this point of time and putting in great effort. So for a player, it just boils down to the same routine. Stick to your training, stick to your practice, go to compete and try to win. And I mean, it has its highs and lows. And like any sport, we go in for the highs, managing the lows as the risk that we take. Okay. And that's about it in my view.
What about you, Shrikant? What do you think of the reality of poker? कि poker है क्या?
Uh, so reality as in what do you think poker gonna do this year, or how is it
Not
going to
I'm
be?
not my focus is not to basically कि भाई poker कहाँ जा रहा है. But what is the reality of poker? Like, because if
Mhm.
somebody watches poker and let's say they see your photo the next on some ad or like some banner or something that this guy has won 1.5 crores and he starts playing. But that is not the reality of poker. There is a lot of things that went beyond beyond
Mhm.
winning that prize. Like for example, if we talk about Gaurav Sood, Gaurav Sood has not had a really big score, but he has continuously small scores, and that is the reason that he's been
Mhm.
the player of the year three times, right? So
Mhm. Of
if
course.
like if you have to sum it up or if you have to tell कि भाई what is poker in like real world, in reality, without having the glamour, everything. What is reality of poker? कि poker में होता क्या है? Because most of the times people are stuck in MU, right? You would agree that people have
Right.
huge MUs and they're stuck. Like for example, if I talk about myself, I am been stuck for, I've, let's say, if you compare my volume and so, I've been in MU for almost a year. Like I've been in MU for 2 years, but let's take out the 1 year out. But there, and the reality of poker is
Hmm.
that okay, I won 5 lakhs in fucking a week, but that doesn't mean that that 5 lakh has come to my my bank account. It does not work like that. So what is the reality of poker according to
Yeah, actually, I think people, it's the way a lot of these sites do promotion that,
Yeah,
this
yeah.
guy won this much in one night and
Hmm.
all. It's pretty misleading. So
you?
it actually kind of, so even like, even if it's people, I mean, because you get flagged on those ads, so people even close to you get to see that, and they're like, okay, well, you got lucky in one night, and so like Arun was saying earlier, like all these people, they are not educated of the struggle behind it, or how long the grind has been going for these guys, or something like that. So yeah, I mean, like if I don't know what's the best way to do it, and how well we can educate the common people of that, but that's something that's absolutely required, in order to grow this game and sustain it in a more equitable way, there has to be something done along that way, but yeah, maybe the sites should take the lead in doing something.
And it's kind of, it's like, I think close friend of ours actually was in a huge MU, right? But then he won, like, let's say, 5 to 7
Mm.
lakhs in one night, and then he got a call from his relative the next morning. Congratulations, you won this amount, or your son has won this amount of money, and all right, all right, that stuff. See, that is something that I think that that kind of, I would not say it's false advertising, but that kind of happens everywhere. Like even in products, we are like the big brands are doing oh, this
Mhm.
is
Hmm.
healthier for you, but it
Yeah.
is not actually healthier for you. It is actually, it's healthier than eating fries, but it is still gonna cause the trouble that half the trouble that the fries are causing. So that is one part of it. Heather, what is your take? Like if you, let's say, if you have a cousin who's like, let's say, 18-20 year old, and he wants to know, or like he's exploring his options, right? And he asks you, Bhaiya, what is poker? Like how would you tell him, like, according to you, what is poker?
Okay.
You
I would call it for what it is. I would say it's a competitive.
you let him,
Huh?
you let us slap to him and just say focus on your studies.
No, no, no. I mean, I kind of will because I kind of will like. I'm not gonna encourage him like that. Oh, leave everything, join poker because I feel like how I got in was a product of passion and it's kind of serendipitous. I just started playing, I loved it, and I got into it. Like I would tell someone that it's a really cool game. It's a fantastic blend of it's basically if you can look at it liberally enough, you can understand that it is life comprised into a single game into a game. Like it's literally that. And I mean, go ahead, play, have some fun with your friends, see how you feel about it. Because you know that you're gonna feel hooked to it. You know that every time you play, you feel like you're growing. The game's growing on you. You're growing as you know, you're learning the game more, and it's like it's not a cheap thrill. It's not something that uh, you know, it's not like drinking a Coke. You feel good, but it's doing bad to you. It's actually like you feel good and you have fun and it helps you understand how you can make more intelligent decisions. So I would say, man, you should try check the game out. You know what? It's a lot of fun. Come play with me. I'll teach
Yeah.
you. Teach your friends. Maybe we get 2, 3 poker players out of that, and it's just awesome, right? Because if you want me to answer the reality of poker, I would say that the it's a pretty nascent industry, and which has a I think it has a lot of scope for growth. I don't think we should predict the future as much as contribute in the present for to the game for however we can because when you look at it when you see the way the sites have absorbed GST and stuff also just to they have faith in their
Yeah.
product They have faith in the industry, and they've gone a really long way in cushioning the pretty severe impact. If that is not a sign of strength in the industry, I don't know what is. I really don't know what is. I don't know why you shouldn't, why you should look any other way, like in my opinion. So it's pretty good. And in reality, in terms of how the game looks like, yeah, I was gonna say the same thing that yeah, the media houses in poker, it's very clickbaity kind of news that this guy won 10 lakh X something a night, like nothing. It's just a cash. It doesn't account for so many things. It doesn't account for how much money this person puts in, how much is he getting in return. It's just like just news to kind of rope you in. So yeah, but as you said, Akshay, right? Like this happens everywhere in life. We are such a consumer oriented world at this moment. Like we are constantly being sold information. We're not being given information. Like so it's up to you to make an interpretation. It's not just poker. I think it extends all the way into life, into so many things. So when I look at the reality in poker, I actually kind of like it because I see a difference in the way people treat the game now as opposed to a bunch of years earlier. I see people more dedicated, more motivated, more, less treating it like, oh yeah, poker is so much fun. I don't get to do a job. My life is all I have. No, they fucking, sorry, pardon my French, but
It's crazy.
nice. Yeah, like I see people genuinely working hard. I see people genuinely treating this as like how a cricketer would have treated their journey towards if you want to play, for example, the Indian cricket team. You can't just you say that, oh, I'm gonna play cricket. I'm not gonna do 9 to 5. हाँ कुछ भी थोड़ा जाके खेल लेता हूँ. They dedicate their life. You have to keep yourself sharp. You gotta like work on your physical self, your mental self, and you really have to put in the hard yards. There's not many people who make money in this game. So over the long run, so I like it. I like the current reality of the game, and we all, I think all of us should do our best to, you know, contribute to the game. Yeah, like even to the contribute to people's mindset. I'm not trying to do this in a persuasive manner. I'm just saying whatever I feel is happening with the game. And I think we should take whatever the sites are doing as a sign of strength and incline towards the game if you feel like you have an inclination
Yeah, like
already.
we're just making aware to the people that what is actually the game, and not like promote it, but tell you like this is the game. It has highs, it has lows, but
Yeah.
it's all part of it, right? Like if I
Yeah.
have to sum it, I would probably say it's a high volatile strategic game, just like chess, but it has cards other than pieces. But it is very high volatile, and it is like everyone can play it, but not everyone can be good at it. Right, that is my take on it, and obviously the stakes are higher in poker, and I actually think it takes more efforts and more hard work if you have to like compare it with like a chess player. I think it's more harder because chess is played between two players, but whereas poker is played between 6 or 8 or 9 people at times, and it has what do you call dynamic structure. It's not like there is only one structure. Like, you have to play for 30 minutes. It's like you have to play for hours. Then you have to play different stack depths. Then you have to play different, what do you call, ICM scenarios. Like there is when you're close to the money, when you're on the final table, when you don't care about anything, when you are playing, chippy. So it has different spectrums to it. It's not like, okay, this is, I'm going to play for, I have 30 minutes and I have to defeat the opponent, right? Or I have to protect myself to be beaten by the other guy if he's better than me. It's not like that. It's all sports. It's, we like everyone wants blood in this game because it's a very competitive game, is what I feel like. And it is not for someone who's like, a soft guy in terms of competitive edge. You need to have that competitive eagerness to beat the other guy to really excel in this game, right?
That's true of any sport, right? That's almost like what you see
Yeah.
in every sport. If you see there's a risk-reward relationship,
Yeah.
I mean, I think in all of India's one-day international history, I think maybe 300 players have played for India or lesser than that. I think far lesser than that. But you see, like, at
Yeah.
least lakhs and lakhs of
Yeah.
people trying to become a cricketer professionally till a particular stage where they kind of drop out or
Mm.
pursue that path. Till IPL came in, I don't even think the financial opportunities were great. They just did it for the passion for the game. They just didn't care. People dedicated their life to cricket because they just love the game, right? And I think in a large way, poker is also similar in that sense. You just do it because you love the game, you'll enjoy it a lot more. Your life will be a lot more peaceful. And if you do it sheerly for the monetary returns of it, then it becomes a pure mathematical equation, which might have different implications across
Yeah.
industries.
I would say dire
So do you think
consequences.
that that is what
Hmm.
happens with
Most of.
most of the players? Because what happens, like when you are, let's say, a cricket player who played who played cricket for about 40, 45 years just because of the passion of it, and now you don't have money, you are not married. So, like money does kind of put some fuel in your passion. Like it can happen, right? At 45, you played a sport,
That's true.
and you played for passion, but
Hmm.
now you don't have a
Yeah.
wife, you don't have a house, you don't have a job. What do you do?
Yeah, you're asking about the failure side of anything. Matlab,
That's
have a job and work till 45 and do nothing else in life, and you lose your job and you get nothing else, the same problem exists. So I think it's just risk reward. You just, I think as for a
wow,
large part
beautifully
of
put. Yeah.
Indians, our mindset is made to, or let's say because of the way we've seen things, we made to believe that a job is secure, and in a job you get that monthly paycheck, so and the variance is lesser, so everything is hunky dory.
Yeah,
It's only about it's a cold hard math of risk versus reward. That's the fact of it.
I think
Anywhere you go, depending upon the skills that you have, the time and the effort that you put in will have a certain risk and a certain reward for it. That path is a little more, let's say, less volatile if you take up a job which you call steady. No job is steady, to be honest. Like the minute the recession hits, the companies take a number based call from Excels. So
yeah.
the fact
Yeah.
is, what are your skill sets and where can you kind of implement it with a sense of reward that you can get with the risk that you're taking? And it's a hard thing to get because it's not very objective, right? Whatever I'm saying right now is not easily convertible into
Mm.
something that is like, okay, yeah, I'll do these actions, I'll get this outcome. That's where the subjective understanding needs to come in. So, but yeah, it's difficult for people. To me, poker is like any other sport. I see it as the same risk reward equation that you see in other sports. Only that here the loss is obvious immediately on a daily basis.
Yeah.
In many other cases, a person, I mean, I think even today, the purest form of grind in the world is a musician who is playing in some pub trying to catch his break, but he just plays music every Saturday or a Friday night because he just loves the music that he plays.
So
I
true.
mean, it's not about the monetary reward, and they are the true grinders of the world, okay, to me, because they just doing it out of the sheer love of it. Many a times you don't even see the audience uh, appreciating the effort and the dedication that's gone into the guy who's playing the music. Some really awesome talent out there. But the fact is, they just continue to do it because they love it. If they get a break, they just make it big. Again, risk reward eventually.
That is, I think, beautifully summed up. Right. Uh,
I think there's also with regards to passion. Following your passion, there's an important fallacy to consider, which is I think the survivorship bias, right? Which is say as according to Rooney's illustration, where say about 300 people have played in one-day international cricket for the Indian team, where lakhs of people have tried. You don't hear from the lakhs of people who failed. You hear from the 300 people who made it time and time and time again. So there is already a bias of information that you have over here. They'll tell you invest yourself. Uh, Pursue your goal, and go all in with it. I mean, and work towards a particular outcome, but go all in on your passion. And you're really basically operating on an information bias.
I, I
So I
think,
get,
I guess that's the same thing that's happening in poker, right? Because people
of
only
course,
see the top 10% and
yeah,
the scores and the winnings and all. They don't see the struggle of the middling people,
I think
who
people are
still
all,
put in the study, who still come
yeah.
in and day out and grind and just trying to beat that variance. People don't see that. So I think that's something that people need to know, not just the top fancy part where everyone gets
मतलब
big
I think
scores.
the Indian
Yeah,
mentality is what it has been in the past is कि हमें full 100% नहीं जाना है हमारे को 20% secure कुछ करके रखना है पीछे से so that if we are doing something that वो 20% थोड़ा सा like what do you call that saving वाला part कि हाँ कुछ backup है whereas now the newer population the newer generation is coming that is going hard at it कि this is my age I want to go hard at it. If I make it, I make it. If I don't make it, I don't make it. पहले थोड़ा different था, अब जाके वो थोड़ा सा change हो रहा है mindset में. If people are passionate about something, they are going like 100% at it, like maybe 200% at it, compared to how it was in the past, maybe 30, 40 years ago, or maybe longer. कि भाई पहले वो they always had a backup. Even right now, my parents are like, have some backup. Right, you're doing poker, you're doing great at it, it's fine, but have some backup. Like but what happened in India, like what happened in the past is that most of the players had some kind of a degree. Like let's say there are a lot of IIM graduates, a lot of CAs, a lot of things, right? And they basically kind of gave it that in and they started poker, but they had a backup. They, like, if let's say poker did not work for them in the next 5 years, right, they can go back and do something about it. I'm talking about people who have, like, big MBAs, big CAs and all that. They can still join the workforce. But what right now generation is doing, it is like they're going at it. कि भाई अगर हम पैशनेट है, चाहे वो क्रिकेट है, चाहे वो चेस है, या चाहे वो कोई लेट्स से कोई बिजनेस आइडिया है, वो दे आर गोइंग एट इट, राइट. दे आर नॉट लाइक कि हाँ पहले से थोड़ा कुछ कर लेते हैं, like get our education sorted or get something sorted, then do what we are passionate about, right? Any thoughts on that?
See, I think
Wrong,
it's just a
wrong also.
no, just a time frame. Yeah, I mean, no, I'll tell you, it's just because of the time frame of what's happening. I mean, previous generation, when my parents grew up, government jobs were the only things that they would want to do. Okay, and the
Yeah.
next generation would look down at government jobs and want to work in private firms, right? We are at a stage when there are
Shrikant,
probably a lot more options with the internet economy.
sorry to cut off. Shrikant ne nahi
Yeah.
have time for those government jobs.
He can run his own government now. Okay. So he's planning to buy some island like some Kailasa types and go become the head of that state very
Yeah.
soon. That's his
Directly
retirement plan.
for him for the government.
Or he'll create it on the metaverse and sell plots of land to us.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say that.
Costs nothing.
RWA.
You say,
So coming back to this, it's just that over a period of time, people's interests have changed, right? I mean, it's all generational advantages that you're seeing today that people are just thinking that I don't want to do even a. I mean, you don't even talk about a government job as like an option today during this entire conversation. You're just talking about a job, right?
yeah.
Because people want to be in the private sector or whatever. That just keeps changing, man. It's just generational differences. Your grandparents had far lesser opportunities than your parents, and you have more opportunities than your parents, and so it's just a generational thing. Today, there's just more options. The internet economy has just opened up everything to everyone. So there's no real sort of democratized what you can do. I know a lot of creators who do podcasts who earn a lot. Okay, you seem to be sitting in one. So,
Hopefully that's me. That's the
okay, so the point is, it's all changing as time goes. Yeah.
But see, for someone, let's say, like I'll take your cousin example, right? Someone who's graduated, like he's completed his bachelor's at 21, and comes to you and wants to ask you, "Ki I want to," I like he tells you, he doesn't even ask you that, "Hey, I want to take poker full time and all that stuff at 21." Would you advise him to just because in India it's very hard to secure a job with a bachelor's degree, right? Unless you are really like some IT, genius, right? So would you advise him to first complete his education so that in case poker did not work out for him or any sport did not work out for him, he can still go back because going back to school at let's say 30, 32 is not the optimal. Yes, you can do it. I've seen a lot of people do it. Even I have thought of, going back and, let's say doing an MBA degree or something. But like someone like comes to you at 21 and says, I want to do poker, what would you tell him? Ki he should do poker right now, or he should complete an MBA degree or whatever degree is what like he is interested in, and then do poker afterwards. So in case it does not work out, because see, poker or any other sport has no guarantee that it will work out, even if you do everything correct, right?
And see, I'll tell you,
So
Vincent,
how?
I'll just answer this question. My point here is poker is advantageous in the sense that you don't need to do it 24/7 to get better at it.
Yep.
Obviously, if you want to be the top 1% of this country or you want to be the absolute top of any field, that's a 24/7 activity. Okay.
Yep.
Poker, the whole point is it's freedom. Okay. You want to fire up the tables today. and you don't want to play for the next month, it's your choice.
Mhm.
If you want to play for a few months and then not grind and just focus on your other things, that's your choice. So all these options makes poker one of the most flexible things that you can do.
Yeah.
That being the case, if anyone younger wants to put an effort behind poker, they don't need to do it 24/7.
Mhm.
The improvements don't have to be like a, let's say, hockey stick curve where you're starting and you're just becoming an absolute crusher within a few months. Just see whether you find interest. This is my advice to anyone who's at 2021 who comes and says, I want to do one thing.
Yeah.
Say that too, sure, try it. I mean, try it with a variety of things because you really don't know what you land up at and what you love
Yeah.
until you put in the effort. Just go and do it. I mean, there's nothing wrong in doing it, right? At 21, you can try it for a few months and then decide what you want to do a little later. You don't need to like grind for next 10 years to decide. You just need to quickly act on it and then take decisions basis whatever feedback you get on your own abilities, on your skill, on your interest levels, because none of these are evident till you try them. So the point is you try it by the side, you try it
Oh, we lost him.
full time, but you make those quick decisions as to how it's going. It's very easy to decide, right? I mean, you do certain things, you see the returns, and you're seeing whether you're improving as a player, whether you're like getting better, whether the results are great. If it's not great, go on to what you want to do and more things that are always open for you at 20s. I mean, I personally think you should experiment a lot in your 20s so that you're, what do you call, you can land up at a thing which you're great at, a passionate at, and which also pays you.
Definitely.
Like there are very few things where all of these things fit in, right?
Mhm.
So it's better to try it in your 20s. And I mean, I would say the risk is nothing if you just try it,
Yeah,
but you should be
yeah.
evidently clear about the fact that you're taking very quick decisions. You're not out there to just while away your time. The risk comes in the fact that most people just do it thinking that, okay, I have gotten better over a certain, they don't get an objective feedback of what they're actually doing,
Mhm.
which is where it's much better having a circle of people who are honest and true to you. Like they should be able to tell you that hey, this is probably not the only thing that you should do because you don't seem to be good at it. It's a very hard thing to say to close people,
Hmm.
Yeah. I think a lot of
right?
people are
So
missing the
that
mentors in their life at 21, 22, because all they have is their friends from
mm,
school, and everyone is like doing their own thing. So at 21, 22, the only mentors is we have is parents, which in most scenarios we think, oh, they don't understand what we want to do. But I think it's better to sit them down and explain what you want to do and why you want to do it, so that they can guide you better. They're always there to guide you, right? Because I don't know if any parents would want uh, anything bad for their kid, right? So it's very important, as you mentioned, that to have a mentor, to have someone with you to tell you objectively what is your thought process, what is your thought process, and it makes sense or not, right?
And yeah, I guess the thing about a parent and them mentoring, the good part is obviously they're highly invested in you. The not so good part about it may be that I think a mentor needs to look at your life
Yeah.
more objectively with a rather lack of emotion than as opposed to being invested. And of course, with the generational gap comes a parent's uh, a parent's view of your success might be different to what your view of
Yeah.
success might be also. That alignment can perhaps be a little skewed. So I guess like parents are very important in the I would say in the nurture. I think that's what they need to do. They need to just probably I'm not a parent. I'm not gone through it. It's just a raw point of view from how I think of it in my head. It's just basically to help them navigate the world, to find their resources
Yeah.
rather, instead of not always be the resource, but help them find the resource also. Uh, put them on that path. And yeah, I guess mentorship, mentorship is crucial, but I don't think it
At
at
21, 20, I don't think
at
anyone gets it,
such
bro.
ages. Yeah, you're such an yeah, exactly like Arun said, right? This is the time for you to really discover yourself.
Yeah.
You have the energy, you don't have as much responsibility, and you can actually fail a bunch of times without having significant
Yeah.
impact on your
Like
life.
it's not the end of the world, if you're
Like,
at 24, 25,
yeah,
you tried something, it did not work out, it's not the end of the world, right?
yeah, yeah. Go out, do, fail,
Yeah.
That's
The
really how
earlier
you
you
learn life.
So
experiment,
what
it's
experience
better.
that you it's better, no?
Yeah.
So what experience?
Mhm.
Even with poker, I would,
What experiment? I'm saying
like,
what
sorry?
Shrikant is saying. It's good that you do more experiments, right? So
No, 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 no. I'm saying the earlier you experiment, it's better. Like when you're when you're in your early 20s or when you're in your mid 20s, there's enough time for you to figure out what you want to do in your life, and so you
Yeah,
can kind of do multiple things in battle, and I mean, I personally feel if I had started poker earlier, maybe I wouldn't have my full-time job right now, something like that. So there
Hmm.
would have been more time to experiment and play with it, like compared to people who start later on with poker in their life, given the way how society perceives poker as a sport.
I
So
mean, it has. I mean, it has its
yeah.
both, the goods and the bads. Like if you're starting poker in the later stages, that means that you've sorted like your life, that you always have a backup plan. You have always a plan B, plan C. Because let's say if you start at 20, you kind of like worked in some sort of workspace, and if someone who's starting early, he has more time to figure out what he wants to do. So it has, I think, both pros and cons of it. Like starting early has its pros and cons, and starting late also has pros and cons. That is why the game is such that it's such a dynamic game that anyone at any age can do it. People at 50 can do it for fun. People at 30 to 40 can see if they want to take it like as a full time career with the flexibility, because that is missing from the corporate world, especially in India. Then someone who, let's say, from 18 to let's say 25, 27 does not want, is like really passionate about something and he wants to try it out, he can give it a try. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. The main important part is that he doesn't have to compare with his friends and stuff, because they might have um, what do you call, they might have progressed in their career, or they've sorted out their MBAs or BBAs or whatever, right? It's important not to compare yourself with others, like with your, especially with your friends, because you are doing something that you're passionate about and they might not be doing that, right? They might have achieved success at very young age. That does not guarantee them to be, oh, are they happier in their job? I have like so many friends who are earning a lot of money, but they are not happy with their jobs, right? They want flexibility. Like there's a guy on my Instagram, he's working with like top fours as a consultant or something. He's earning about, I don't know, 70 lakhs a year. All right. 70 lakhs is about what? 3 point some lakhs in a month, which is really good in India. All right. But then he's thinking, oh, I want more flexibility. I want to explore poker. So that part is out there, always, is what I feel like. Right?
Hmm.
यार मैं जब बोलता हूँ सब चुप हो जाते हैं क्या?
नहीं नहीं सुन रहे processing it literally
हमारे
because
wisdom सुन
I
रहे
mean
सब.
I mean, I think that if anybody is out there comparing their lives to others as opposed to taking inspiration, I mean, comparing is what I've realized over time. As you grow, I think you kind of understand is the most useless thing you can do for yourself because it's completely negating the uniqueness of your own timeline and associating with someone who deals with completely different factors. As you said, right? That person might be like making a crore a year, might not be happy because they're just slaving it out and doing it. Maybe they're just good at it, but they don't like it. It is the most useless thing to do. I mean, that's what. Take inspiration. Take like learn. Be open and learn. It's a fantastic thing you can do. But I think if you compare yourself, it's
Like if you want to compare with somebody, compare with you, that let's say if you want to compare yourself that you were 2 years ago or 3 years ago, right? Where were you in 2 years ago?
Hmm.
I was playing 1,000 rupees tournaments, making 1 lakh rupees a year. 2 years after, I'm playing 5,000 tournaments and I'm making 5 lakhs a year. I was 85 kilos at 2 years ago. Now I am 75. But like compare yourself with the past, not the future, is what I feel like.
yeah.
Ready? So we move on to the next segment of the podcast. Since my audience isn't quite interactive yet because we are starting out, let's dive into a segment we call Chat GPT questions. So these are the questions that our AI friend Chat GPT wants to ask. Okay. So
Okay.
let's have a look. So एक एक सवाल है जो Chat GPT वाली लड़की आप तीनों से पूछना चाहती है. Okay. So we will start with that. We'll start with Heather. Heather, what is poker to you nowadays, and how do you see the future of poker in India? That is something that
Okay.
Chat GPT wants to
Uh,
ask.
okay. Poker to me right now is entertaining. Is entertainment. Uh, yeah. While I'm not able to play it much, I am constantly still dissolved in
Yeah.
poker content, which I love. The future of
अच्छा बात है
poker,
देखो.
I think,
Just
has
don't give
two
me
sec.
that diplomatic answers like Arun would.
No, no. I'm gonna keep it as brief as possible. I think there's a political landscape and there's an everything else landscape. Political landscape, to be honest, I just don't know, which still has a reasonable influence on the game, which I nobody knows how it's gonna pan out. But but it's a young industry. It's people seem to be gravitating towards it. The and it's due a lot of innovation also. So I think it is still an exciting road up ahead, notwithstanding the political
Very
landscape.
well said. Arun, the next question is for you. The chat GPT wants to know how does Arun cope with all the anxiety, all the self-doubt that poker brings in our life, and has it affected you in your personal life? If yes, how? Deep
No, man,
taking
I
a
don't think
deep
I have any
question,
self
chat
doubt. I
GPT
mean,
ka.
Oh man, this reminds me of the conversation I had with him when I was at his home a few
All
days
right,
ago.
Arun. You want me to repeat the question? Oh, you got it.
so see, I mean, you went. Obviously, I go through my highs and lows, but I try to stay as calm as possible. Okay, my
No,
journal is
but
my best friend with
has it
most of these
has it caused
issues.
for the chat? Has it caused self doubts? Like poker has caused self doubts in your personal life. We start from there.
See, I mean, personal life में तो मतलब I have no qualms. I mean, I'm touchwood. I run good like mad in my personal life,
Yeah.
so I'm not gonna. I don't have anything to say. They are very different parts of my life, and in fact, my personal life helps me with poker. It's the other way around. Okay, so poker. Obviously, you have your self doubts, right? When you don't do well in a sport, you always feel that could have done better, could have trained better, and all that. I go through those phases, but all those times, like I tell you, my journal is my best friend. So it just lets me kind of compartmentalize that mad rush of emotions into a page and makes me a little more saner than normal. And I think the important part about any place where you have self doubt is to acknowledge what you're feeling and just get out of it. Right. It's not like I've read somewhere that the top professionals in any sport all have these doubts creeping in once in a way, but they just snap out of it quickly. You just act on what you control and you just move on. That's all I do. I can control what time I'm spending, whom I'm spending time with, whom I'm talking to, what I'm talking about, related to poker, and that I correct. But other than that, I mean, there's little else that affects me, to be
So, for
honest.
example, let's say you have a bad day in poker, like let's say you lost about 1 lakh, which is kind of normal for us. And you would write in a journal, and that would ease down your tension, your doubts, and that would help you to.
It does, it does. So I do reach out to my. See, my point is that you should always have a safe space. Okay, so I have a bunch of friends with whom I can just go and like meme the hell out of the nonsense that happened in a day,
रात को
right?
2 बजे किसको
And
रात को 2 बजे कहाँ पे किसको ढूंढ रहे हो तुम? डिस्कॉर्ड है तुम्हारे पास रात को 2 बजे?
10,000 पोकर प्लेयर्स,
अबे रात
10,000 पोकर प्लेयर्स तो अवेक है ना.
में या
So
के फ्रेम
वो 10
में
बजे तो हाँ like जो हमारा फ्रेंड ग्रुप है that is somewhere you can
yeah.
share. हाँ, that is true. वो चीज तो है.
So it's sort of that's one, and I mean, you just need to vent out. I'm not saying that you need to like be absolutely robotic about everything, right? If you feel something, you need to address it and just snap out of it quickly. That's all. That's what I do.
And you are very nice, as in you don't like when you are going through a bad run, you don't abuse any poker players who are running good versus you just abuse the sites. No?
I'm I don't abuse any site.
be careful, he
It's
might
never.
have proof, Arun.
Nah. So, but the point is, I don't know, man. You just need to like laugh at it, make some jokes about it, and move on. Otherwise, bad beat stories will encompass your time rather than thinking about what happened to the hand. So yeah, I just like move on, venting out, and just proceeding to the next thing. Yeah.
Alrighty. I think सबसे tough question और सबसे मजेदार question chat GPT ने श्रीकांत के लिए छोड़ा है. You guys gonna love it.
क्या रखा है भाई
So
ऐसा?
chat GPT wants to know how much you are through poker in a month.
How much?
इसके लिए तो इंटरव्यू ही बन गया
एक महीने
बेचारे के
नहीं
लिए.
एक साल का नंबर मत दो. एक महीने से पोकर से कितना कमा ले? सिर्फ पोकर से. Average.
हाँ मतलब मैं ये
यार सही
महीने का
बता
बता सकता हूँ।
अगर कोई हो
अरे तो it's not
एक काम
constant, right? So for
out what is
example, it
this
depends.
इसमें जो भी कमाते हो उसको डिवाइड कर दो 12
मेरे पास मैं तो तीन
वही
से
तो अभी
चार
तो
किलो
कभी
मेरा।
किया ही नहीं।
क्या है अरुण
हाँ, नॉर्मली इट्स अबाउट 3, मेरा 3 से 4 किलो पीनट मिलता है। कभी कभी 10 केजी भी बना लेता हूँ। ठीक है।
किंग ऑफ डिप्लोमेटिक आंसर
हाँ
साल में कम से
मतलब
साल में कम से कम 100 केजी पीनट बन जाता है। हाँ?
हाँ मतलब तीन तीन लाइक दिन का 3 चिकन बिरयानी आराम से खा सकते
अच्छा, तीन आराम से तो मतलब व्हाट एल्स इज देयर रूम फॉर?
नहीं नहीं नहीं, मतलब ये तो मतलब बिकॉज ही इज द
नहीं
मोस्ट प्रॉफिटेबल
मतलब
प्लेयर, वो 3 खा सकता है। मैं और हैदर शायद 2 मील खा
हाँ,
सकते हैं, तीसरा थोड़ा डाउटफुल है,
दो,
डिपेंड्स।
हाँ हाँ, दूसरा डाउटफुल है।
बताना चाहोगे रफ फिगर
This is what I'm gonna tell. This is what I'm gonna tell people who ask me. Should I play poker? Like, if you're not eating three chicken biryanis a day, you're not doing well, bro. Oh,
so
sister.
let's assume तो नहीं ये बताएंगे तो है नहीं obviously friend अनवर अरुण के friend है um, can we say a decent poker reg can make about a lakh a month or maybe two. A decent reg. I'm talking about a good reg, not like top reg. A decent good reg who's playing on his own can make 1 to 2 lakhs a month average.
I mean, that should be an easy target.
Uh,
Yeah.
That is
yeah, yeah.
that is
For a
doable,
good reg
right?
also, yeah.
That should be, yeah, it's extremely easy target. So yeah, minimum that's it.
You agree
Yeah.
with Shrikant? You with this 1 to 2? हाँ मतलब फिर
yeah.
5-6 लाख कमाते हो अगर टॉप रेग हो तो.
No, I think it's that's right. Like, so it is wrong to say that you gonna consistently make this much amount of money every month for so many years. No, so there will be months and months where you are not making any money. So, for example, like in my worst year, like for like 8 months, I've not made any money, and like whatever came out of the year came in the next 4 months, and that wasn't that big either. So, right. So that is so if you are able to handle these swings, and if you have enough life role to keep apart and handle these swings, absorb this pressure, then obviously, I mean, you should pursue poker. But it's going to be very challenging, when like you don't see a paycheck for 8 months and you still have to come out every day and
Hmm.
repeat the same routine.
Actually happened with
So
me. Like I did not get any paycheck for about a year. And we know so many guys who've been in MU for
mm,
for a long. And
yeah,
they're
yeah,
good
of
players. They're
course,
not bad
of
players. They're
course,
really good players.
exactly,
So it is
exactly.
like
So it's pretty brutal. The game is, I mean, so
light-hearted. So one thing that I have personally felt in poker, which is very beautiful, especially in my group that I've been with. So normally लोग सोचते हैं कि जो जुआ है, I'm not saying poker is जुआ, but let's say when people associate some card game, people don't what do you call, they don't easily trust the other guys, right? There is no friendship in gambling world, right? I think it is safe to say that there is no real friendship in a gambling world, right? Like you won't trust the guy that hard.
No, I think that's
Hmm.
completely. I think that's completely against what I
No,
believe in.
but
Okay. So I think there's
Yeah.
nothing more pure. So I'll tell you what I
but
believe. Okay. I believe poker is
no, no,
pure in that
let
sense.
me
Okay. You can.
let me complete. Let me complete. What I'm saying is gambling may people don't trust
Oh.
easily, but in poker, what I have seen is that the friendships are really based on trust. Right? Like if you compare poker from some other gambling, right? Or is it? Am I thinking in the wrong terms?
So I don't know.
Hmm.
I'll tell you. I can only tell you about my personal experience. I've been pretty late to the
Yeah.
industry. I met some really good people here. Okay, I mean, it's obviously a sport. As a sport, it's sort of an extremely competitive sport, right?
Yeah.
So I met people who have, let's say, high levels of integrity, knowing very clearly that when you're on the table, you're fighting for a win, right? It's almost like, let's say,
Yeah.
a boxer's getting into the ring. They know that they're out there to hurt each other, right? But of that, it's just a sport. You move out of it, snap out of it once you're out of the ring. I mean,
Hmm.
poker is pretty much that. When you're on the table, we're in this podcast together. You meet me on the tables today. You can be rest assured that
Yeah,
we're just gonna
exactly.
fight for the chips with each other. There's not going to be a inch given away in terms of what the best decision is to be on the table, right? That's the purity of the
Yeah.
sport. You go in there with absolute clarity that you're going to punch each other,
Hmm.
right? You step out of it, you can still make great friends. You can hang out with people. I met some absolutely wonderful people in this game, and from backgrounds and experiences, which has actually made me learn about things and see new things in ways that I wouldn't have if I was one dimensional and just looking at a particular job that I was doing. This has expanded my worldview, to be very honest, right? And I'm grateful for that. So it's obviously right. This is a very complex question. You just added a gambling plus the trust in people and everything, right? So I just wanted to separate that. Like in any place, there'll be shady characters. It's true, but
Yeah.
any place has shady characters. It's irrespective of any field that you enter into. Poker, I found a lot of these guys are a lot more easy to hang out with. They're in general freedom seekers rather than, let's say, wanting to get boxed into a certain environment, right? And very, very diverse in their experience, age, behaviors, perspectives. So it's a fun place to be in to meet up with interesting kind of people. But yeah, I mean, bad habits exist. I don't like deny that you need to be protective of that. It does exist even here. There's no doubt about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is,
Didn't hear you,
there
I
are
guess.
always goods and bads in every industry, right? There are good, there are good,
Yeah,
there are
Yeah, of
good
course.
people and bad.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere, everything.
So I think it's very important
Yeah.
to take your time when you're trusting somebody. But we've been all four of us have been very fortunate that we've been in a group where we kind of trust each other in a level that it's not easy to find, especially like when me and Arun used to talk. I think it was after a year we met, but we had kind of a bond that I shared with my friends that were 20 years that I shared my friendship like 20 years ago. Like me and Heather, I think we've met only once or maybe twice, right? But I share a lot. I can share a lot of information, like a lot of personal information with you, right? Which I might not be able to share with others. And same with Sreekant, right? Sreekant was my first coach, right? Then I started studying with him in terms of like when we were in the poker. Now, like we used to play Valorant, we used to play Among Us, right? So, like the bond that the poker friendship creates is something that I feel is not easy to achieve because we only know what we go through every day, right? So like we go through bloodbaths every day. Like it's not easy to lose 1 lakh even if you're in a stable. Like losing 1 lakh and then calming your brain and not having somebody to talk to. So that is there. Um,
Yeah.
moving on to the end of the podcast. I only have I think one or two questions left other than my rapid fire. Um, so,
So you took the idea.
coffee with Akshay.
Coffee with Akshay. This is turning into
KWK.
coffee with
नहीं नहीं
Akshay now.
Coffee with
Coffee
Kapoor.
with Kapoor.
Akshay Kapoor. Coffee with
KW.
Kapoor.
अरे
I
कॉफी
wish
तो
you
दिया
could
ही
have
नहीं.
कॉफी
for
तो
that.
मेरे पास कुछ नहीं मैं बिना पंखा पंखा
हाँ, ये तो
कैसे
खुद
बैठा
बनाना
सकता हूँ
पड़ा.
क्योंकि आवाज आए क्लियर मेरे रूम में एसी भी नहीं है so see all three of us have been part of a stable, right? What is the actual experience of being in a stable? Can you guys share some light on that? Like what is the actual क्योंकि एक जो बंदा पोकर में आ रहा है ना
Mm.
वो कहता है मेरे को स्टेबल में जाना है मेरे को ज्यादा खेलने को मिलेगा मेरे को बाइंग मिलेगा ये मिलेगा वो मिलेगा मिलता कुछ नहीं है मतलब सब कुछ नहीं मिलता जो वो सोच के जाता है is what I'm trying to tell. Like you have to earn it, then only they give you. It's not like you join a stable, you are playing a 1 lakh tournament. ऐसा नहीं होता है. So what is the
Yeah.
actual journey of a poker stable if you guys can share or want to share?
Uh,
Yeah.
I can go. Um, to be honest, the a stable experience is basically game changing, and I'll tell you what, because still a poker looks like a game where the it's an early entrant game. Like people, most of the people who get in are pretty young. You're not fully I mean, you're never fully emotionally mature, but you don't have as much emotional maturity as you would have liked to set up that framework to be able to look at the game very objectively. You come in with a your fiery passion and, you know, like anything goes mentality. You have to cultivate discipline in the game, which I think takes time for most people. And I think that's being in a stable, I guess, apart from I mean being in a stable first of all helps you carve out that discipline much faster because there are people holding you towards it. I think which is very, very important. And to be able to take the see, when you're starting out in the game, there is pressure. Like no matter how passionate you might be, I mean, a lot of people might still face the pressure, which kind of slows down that learning curve. And when the stable takes away that pressure from you, when they support you financially, they coach you and they nurture you, and they kind of like have a role in basically taking away some of that stress. It allows you to be so much more free flowing with the game. You're so much more receptive with the game. You're taking in more information. You're playing. You're being more free flowing with your game. And it helps you learn. So I think a stable is an absolutely amazing, almost to a certain extent necessary experience to start your career from. Like, yeah, that's what I feel.
You've been a coach for a stable, right? You're also doing coaching for profits, but I would not dive into coaching for profits because it's a very new venture of yours. But like when you were when you were a coach in a stable, right? So can you tell us what is the journey like? Because now nobody knows what happens in a stable, right? So can you like if a young gun is watching this podcast, can you tell him what he can expect when he joins the stable? What is the journey like? कि पहले क्या होगा? What are the stakes that you guys and how do you let's say move up the stakes? Because nobody tells you what is like the journey going to be. You get into a stable, they basically tell you this is what you're allowed to play, and then the gradually promotions happen. ठीक है? But what according to you is like the journey like for a newer guy who's watching the postcard and so that he kind of knows what to expect from it.
Basically, so the one thing that requires most to be in a stable is discipline, So because so the key difference, I feel like being in a stable and being outside the stable is the pace at which you grow. So for example, there are a lot of players, I mean, like, in good players in the country who are like, self-taught and, I mean, they have that discipline to do everything themselves and, they're still crushing the field. So, I mean, you can absolutely do that. There are a lot of contents available out there. You can go over them and you can, but yeah, I mean, all this requires a lot of discipline, a lot of motivation and all those stuff, right? Now, what differentiates a stable is when you're part of a community, you have sort of sort of that, atmosphere where you can enable you to grow along with others and, I mean, when you're just all alone and something isn't working out, you're not able to figure out stuff yourself. But here you have a community which actually is gonna help you grow, and you wanna share some hands, someone out there, like even if the coach is not available, some of your peers will come and help you out what you should have done, give them their thought processes, etc. So this sort of a environment is what actually helps you grow faster in compared to when you're
For example,
doing
I
everything
joined the
on your
stable,
own.
right? तो मेरे को स्टार्टिंग में क्या होगा व्हाट लाइक लेट्स से
Mhm.
मेरे को लिमिट डिफाइन होंगी राइट तो उस बारे में थोड़ा टेल कि भाई व्हेन
हाँ,
यू कि
तो
मेरे साथ
you तो
स्टार्टिंग एक अप्रॉक्स नंबर दे दो कि यू विल बी अलाउड टू प्ले 2200 और 3300 एक दो रीबाइज अलाउड क्योंकि
yeah,
मेरे को
exactly.
मैंने जब स्टेबल में ज्वाइन
Right.
किया था ना तो मेरे को लगता था कि भाई देखो मैं जब खेलता था पोकर
Mm-hmm.
तो स्टेबल वाले अंधा दो बुलेट्स मारते थे लाइक ऑटो रीबाय 10 वीबी
Mm-hmm.
ऑटो ऑटो पे क्लिक
Rebuy
होता था
on.
सबका वो दोनों स्टेबल में से कोई भी हो
Uh,
दोनों का ऑटो क्लिक होता था तो आई वाज लाइक यार ये स्टेबल ज्वाइन कर लेते हैं अनलिमिटेड पैसा आ
mm.
जाएगा अनलिमिटेड बुलेट्स मारेंगे 10 बीबी पे रीबाय करेंगे राइट बट वो होता नहीं है ऐसा राइट होता है बट एक लेवल पे आके
No.
होता है, ठीक है?
Uh,
वो जो स्टार्टिंग की
exactly.
जर्नी एक बताओ कि एक अगर जैसे अगर मैंने आपका टेबल ज्वाइन है या तो
Yeah,
मेरे
of
को कोई
courस
चीज
start.
जैसे आप बोल देंगे कि लाइक फॉर एग्जांपल अगर मैंने स्टार्ट किया तो मेरी 3,000 रुपये बाइंग था मेरा लिमिट स्टार्टिंग लिमिट और मेरे को 2 रिवाई अलाउड, राइट? तो उस जर्नी के बारे में बताओ कि
Mhm.
स्टार्टिंग जर्नी का क्या होता है, फिर वो प्रोग्रेशन कैसे होता है?
So I guess like वो initial stages are mainly to evaluate the person कि पहले जब आप आओगे stable में तो you get fixed limits. We'll set you to play this stake and below, and you allowed X number of rebuys. And what happens is over the couple of first few months, the stable management they kind of observe how you're doing, and so let's say I set you the X number of bullets, and like you should also have the discipline because poker is a very emotionally heavy game, because I mean, you might get tilted in game and you're gonna fire more bullets and stuff like that. So having a preset limit in your initial days helps you control this mindset and get to a level where
Hmm.
you don't, keep degening and fire enough bullets in the early stages. So once your fundamentals are solid and you start going up high stakes and start, I mean, basically increasing your buy-ins and so stuff like that. So once you're at that point when you're fairly confident on the horses, then like at that point we start giving a liberty of, because then if you recollect, like once you reach, and maybe you play 5,500 or 11K, no one in the stable tells you how many bullets you should fire, right? Because that was only in the initial stages just to nurture you and get you to a point where you're disciplined and at what stages you should rebuy and what stages you should not rebuy. I mean, so once we see that okay, this person is well rounded and disciplined and is good to go for the highest stakes, then you can completely give him the liberty to do what he wants.
Basically, in the first
Hmm.
initial stages, table is kind of trying to make you responsible for your actions, seeing your attitude about being disciplined or not,
Correct,
and then slowly and slowly, when
correct,
you become better, because they'll be giving you coaching, right? When you become better, the progression happens, and progression happens
correct,
really quick. Like the first
correct. Exactly, exactly.
3 to 4 5 months are hard, where you are basically given a certain limit and X
Yeah,
number of rebuy, and if you fire more than that, you have to
correct,
be answerable to the management, right? So that
correct,
is
correct,
that.
correct.
Arun,
Yeah.
so you been a part of a stable and you now doing your own thing, and you were also doing your own thing before the stable also. Other than making friends and having a peer group, right? What difference did you observe in your game or in your life that happened to you?
I think a lot of the things got covered with what Haider and Shrikant said, but one big thing that didn't get covered is one of the biggest influences, like you were speaking about mentors, is the impact that a good coach has on a bunch of
Hmm.
students who are learning in a stable. Okay. When I initially started playing poker, uh, I was like, I would have done anything to join PG because Adi was coaching there, right? And I was just starting off and I was learning the basics of the game, and I realized that man, it would have been great because Adi is like a world class player, right? You get access to learn from one of the top players in the game. You should be like grabbing that opportunity. But I never got the chance, to be honest. I then later it just things turned around for me when Danish became my coach, right? Danish was one of the crushers in Indian circuit, and a lot of my learning and function of my attitude towards the game is thanks to him. Okay, he's one of those really gentle guys outside the table, but an absolute monster on the table, right? So I kind of model my game in line with what principles he taught me. Uh, Principles that he taught me have kind of defined how I play the game. Sort of a fearless expression of your creativity on the table. Today, I would say, I mean, there are some outstanding ways. Mithun is probably the best coach in the country at this point of time. I think Haider would vouch for that. And the influence that good coaches have on their students is insane. Like they go motivated, they deeply committed to the actions that are there. The students want to kind of let's say prove a point because the coaches put in the time and effort, right? And that's where I think the coaching really matters, right? That's something that a stable offers, which might be available elsewhere with other
Yep.
things, right? uh, and it is true, like the CFPs and all that also offer that, right? And that's what I see is the biggest differentiator. The mentor that you're seeking for
I
is
think
there in the
that's
state.
that's why, like, when we were in a stable, we saw a major jump between there was change in a coach, right? People were more motivated and all that stuff.
Hmm.
And that is why when the results started coming in, right? It's very funny that you share Adi's name because I messaged Adi probably 6 years ago on Twitter to check on my PG application. Right. He said he'll follow back or something. And I never heard from him. And then I've been a part of like 3, 4 years of both the stables, right? 2 years here, 1 year here, one year there and all that, and came back to the original stable. I never thought that Adi will coach me, right? Because Adi stopped coaching. I was in let's say IPP, then I was in Poker Guru, and their coaches were different. And that's just destiny that I am getting coached by him right now, which I imagined or dreamt कि हाँ मुझे poker में I have to get coaching from Adi, he's the best. And now it's happening, like वो एक मेरा तो surreal experience है कि मेरी journey 5-6 साल पहले मैंने ट्विटर पे मैसेज करा था कि मेरी एप्लीकेशन को कोई रिव्यू करवा दो पोकर गुरु में. But I never thought that this day would come in where I get coaching from him and I try to be under him. I also lived with him in his house for 10 days. Like for me that experience I don't have even word for it. Like I cannot explain my experience going through that journey. Um, well, coming back to the end segment, the fun part, the rapid fire. I only have 3 questions. You can't ignore. The rules are very simple. You have to be fast. You can't skip, and no diplomatic answers. Okay, these are 3 very simple questions. Out of one of them is tricky. Okay, so we will start with Sreekant, as he's the biggest winner from among us. All right, ready, Sreekant. You have 5 seconds, 5 to 7 seconds to answer each question, and it's very easy. Okay. So the first question, best player in India according to you. You have to select only one. म्यूट पे हो यार.
Okay, okay,
I'm
let's
up.
do this again. No,
With the
actually,
slow fire
my
only.
my fan is making some noise, so I thought I'll mute it. Yeah.
So yeah. So we'll
Uh-huh.
start
Let's
with
do it
Shrikant,
again.
who's
Yeah.
the biggest winner among us. Shrikant, you have 5 to 7 seconds to answer each question. We only have 3 questions. So please be honest, please be
Mm.
quick, and you
Mm.
can't skip. Okay. So best player in India according to you. One, one,
Do
one.
I have to say only one?
Uh,
Uh,
all right.
I
Best
think
coach in India.
Gaurav. Yeah. I
Okay.
think Adi.
Like it doesn't have to be like it doesn't have to be the present one. It just has to be a best coach. Okay. Like, it does,
I mean, oh, okay. I mean, like I'm just talking about
and
people
it doesn't
active
matter if
right
he's
now
coaching right
because
now or not.
that'll
So best coach in India.
no, because I think if it is so obviously, I mean, earlier I would have given Danish, but Danish doesn't play anymore. So right now, I guess like the best coach is Adi, and I mean it gives a lot of information about people watching this podcast who wants to join coaching and a stable. So if they get up to date information on who it is, it kind of helps
Last
them. I
question, which
feel.
is very tricky. One guy you don't like in poker. For sure.
I don't
Answer for
like
sure.
in poker.
Have to be quick, yeah. Come on.
I don't think there's
This fitting
this
question, Akshay Kapoor बोलो.
yeah.
No.
Ah, Akshay Kapoor.
Okay, okay.
मैंने क्या बिगाड़ा?
अक्षय कपूर बिकॉज अक्षय कपूर टेबल में आके कलाना लिख देता है.
That makes it easy because now Arun cannot use my name. He has to pick somebody else. Okay, Heather, we'll come to you because Arun will take time to think of what.
Hmm.
Send it to him, please.
All right, one guy you don't like in poker.
Anurag Shrivastava. Whenever he pops up on my table, he just throws so many freaking throwables. Like I lose my focus. And he's really funny. That's also why I
Very
lose my
funny.
focus. And he
He does
talks,
that to me
and
also.
I
Like
lose my
even
focus.
when when I'm in a hand, he's throwing some fucking throwables.
He does that to everyone.
He's somehow exceptionally funny. I remember one of the days with this like just getting into the money in ballers, and he just makes the money is on my table, and he just starts giving a speech. I thank all my friends who've come here today to, to let me make the money. I can't tell how happy I am, and just starts a speech, and I'm just like, what the heck is going on, dude?
Uh,
It's too funny.
he's a very nice friend of ours.
Yeah,
Love him dearly.
it's a fantastic man.
Ready? Coming to the last participant for this rapid fire, Arun Shiram. Arun, are you ready for it? Because I've changed the questions, maybe.
Yeah.
अच्छा बोलो.
Arun down and
All
dirty
right.
one
Arun,
time.
who do you think
One
is the
time.
party
One
animal
time.
in
Yeah.
poker scene, poker industry? Question change हो
Party
गया.
animal.
Who do you think is the
I
party animal?
think it has to be. It has to be Lovely. I think it has to be Lovely. He's the
Lovely.
most fun in parties.
Alrighty.
Yeah,
Fair.
hilarious guy.
Isn't it not
Yeah,
Patni?
bro. Like, have you partied with Kunal Patti?
But Patni is a social animal. Patni is the social
Very
animal.
close.
Alrighty.
Yeah. But Patni is not the party
Yeah,
animal. Is a
you'll only
social
get to
animal.
spend that much time with him.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. Cool. I'll
Yeah.
take. I'll take that. Second thing is, who do you think is the most intelligent player in India? Most intelligent.
I mean, it's I mean it's again very it's not a very objective question, but I'll answer it. I think Munot is one of the sharpest players or the most intelligent players in the country. Yeah. I really look up to him, and so it's obviously a biased answer.
All right. These two players who would you want on your table, right? One is let's say Vinayak. He's a good friend of yours, right?
Hmm.
One is Vinayak and one is Anurag. Who would you want?
Better if both of them are not there,
हाँ मतलब अब तुम्हें एक साथ नहीं खेलना
but
ये तो next है
हाँ, but ठीक है. Anurag is good. So Anurag is very chatty. Okay, he just keeps on typing something or
we
the
got
other.
we got him
He wants to. I mean, he's like a failed stand-up comic who became a failed poker player.
oh
I tell you, This joke is something that he'll enjoy. Let me complete. I can,
Yeah, exactly.
I can
Exactly.
confidently state that he will enjoy this joke. Okay, so I can state it without any sort of worry.
I,
But the fact is that
I think
he just ends up having a lot more chats on the table and tries to connect with everyone, which is not something that I do very often.
yes
So yeah.
we should do one podcast where we do roast of Anurag
Yeah.
and have him in the podcast.
Hey,
and
yeah. And the point is
Please call please call Abhishek Rathod for that.
he's
no, and the point is
by himself
on that day.
Hmm.
Okay,
I know
on
by
that day
himself.
you can have 5 kgs of fish biryani.
let's see so I try to organize roast of poker players that is something that I can also do
ए भाई बट थिंकिंग अबाउट इट मैंने अनुराग को थोड़ा ज्यादा ही रोस्ट कर लिया उसको निकाल दो यार एडिट कर दो बेचारे को वो बेचारा पता नहीं उसका पता नहीं मेंटेज
देखो
उसको सुन ले उसको उसको मतलब बेचारे को फेल्ड स्टैंड अप कॉमिक को सक्सेसफुल फिश बोलना चाहिए था गलत बोल दिया मैंने बेचारे का माइंडसेट पता नहीं कैसे होगा
point in his mind बोलो
अरे
Okay, we'll ask you. Okay, we'll ask you.
Akshay suddenly
Who do you
Akshay
think
will
is
give you a
the
30
okay? Who's your
he'll give you
best
a
player?
30
But,
he'll say 30 players let me list he'll say 30 player है भाई मैं लिस्ट कर रहा
no,
हूँ
no,
ठीक
no,
है
you have to say one.
I'll be fair with you guys. You guys can ask me two questions each if you want. What is your question?
Okay, no. Okay, I'll ask you the first question.
Vicky
Who do you hate losing to the most?
जो कुछ पता है bro.
Nice, good pick. Good pick. Good pick. ठीक है. मेरा question हो गया.
Second question. Anyone wants to go?
मेरा question हो गया.
बोलो.
But I think you like tilting Rajat more compared to any other players. He just madly
Question तो
tilts.
वो I've
Well,
not done poker tables. I get fucking game. Never ending.
Oh, Valorant, right?
Valorant.
नहीं वैलोरेंट पे अब इसके साथ नहीं खेलेगा
वो मैंने
वो
कहाँ कर दिया डेट? गेम ऑफ कराया क्या मैंने?
नहीं अरे पोकर टेबल पे तो कुछ ना
वो
कुछ
तो
तो
करता है.
बकर चलता रहता है ना I'm just
I think yeah, him or Kunal Patni. I think I tilt the most.
कुणाल तक नहीं है
I don't give a
अपनी बहुत टिल्ट
बहुत
होते हैं
ज्यादा.
भाई इससे
I don't know what he's done to him.
Oh yeah, now I have some
Yeah,
memories of
not
that
any
now.
question to
Yeah.
me. That would get me in trouble.
No man, no
So
question.
I'm
Huh? As if मतलब as if we don't choose trouble. Half the time we are chasing trouble.
what to do. I find myself in trouble.
Touche.
So before we wrap this up, एक मिनट रुक जाओ, let
चलो
me
भाई
wrap
लोग.
this up and then I think
हाँ.
इनको 2 minutes. All right, guys, thank you for watching this podcast. If you want more, then don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel so that I can keep bringing you more quality podcasts. Thank you for joining in, guys. Have a good day. Bye bye. God